Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're the best.
Tell me when.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Because what time is it? Hey, everyone. How you doing? This has been an amazing day. I don't know. I've learned so much about humor and comedy. I mean, I know I'd love it to enjoy it, but to really hear the behind the scenes of comedians and what they're thinking about in this moment right now is so great. So thank you. I think this one's for like our biggest panel. Like I don't think we can fit any more chairs on. So that means we have a lot to talk about, and we have a lot on this subject. Hi, everyone. I'm Rhonda Carnegie from the FQ. So glad to be here and so delighted. Our theme is, the topic is uncensored, new voices bringing humor to hardship. So when I first read that, I was like, this will be a really interesting topic. And then I thought, when I was reading about it, and I thought that the idea was that we have spent the last 18 months in a pandemic. That's hard. Like, that was super hard. We're still coming out of it, and it's still hard. And yet, I do believe that humor helped to get us through it in many, many moments of being able to look at TikTok and being able to look at just a number of different things where we really had a chance to laugh in a moment, have a little bit of levity. And that's what we're going to talk about, because what has happened with this is we've seen many more platforms, a whole new generation of comedians coming out. And so this session, we're gonna really explore that. So I'm gonna ask everyone just to introduce yourselves, say who you are and what you do, and when was the first moment that you were attached to comedy in some way? And I'm going to start with you, Mindy, my hydrated friend. I loved it. Mindy came on the stage, and she came on with 2 bottles of water. And I was like, first of all, I love that you're staying hydrated. Well, that was really your line, actually. And then I noticed that the water is at the very bottom. So even if you want to get hydrated, you'll have to, go all the way.
Yeah, it was inspired by the marathon.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's good. Well, so if you get thirsty, just let someone know, and they'll bring you the water. Okay, over to you.
So, hi everyone, I'm Mindy Kaplan, Scorpio. Today's my birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
Wait.
No gifts necessary, but
we're going to have
drinks
to sing
accepted.
happy birthday at the end.
Thank you.
For sure. Everyone plan on that.
I have a show called Mailroom, and we get inside the mind of men and put them in the hot seat. And my moment actually came from a personal moment. I'm actually on the market, and in dating, I think there's a lot of isolation during this point, and there's a lot of people that are on the hunt and feel incomplete. And the other side of that is all the comedy that comes into play. So dating can be hilarious, it can be exhausting, but usually there's plenty of comedy. So that was the inspiration.
Great. Jasmine.
Hi, everyone.
All right.
Yeah, no, this is a thing we've had today. Don't give up.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're here.
Yeah,
We're here.
okay.
Thank you, Mindy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jasmine. I make a lot of content, mostly on TikTok and Instagram. And I'm from the Bronx, New York. What's up? And for me, I really started going hard on comedy once the pandemic hit. I was furloughed from work, so I finally had all the time in the world, and what else was I gonna do with it aside from make funny videos in my house by myself with nothing else to do? So that was really the moment for me. Outside of that, I've kind of always been funny. I come from a family of roast culture. We will make fun of each other all the time, and if you don't have a thick skin, you're just gonna end up crying the whole time. So you have to be funny. You gotta have jokes back. So I've kind of always been in the sphere, but didn't really take it like professionally, seriously until like once the pandemic hit.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. Oh, okay. I'm back on again.
You're back on.
Hi, everybody. I am Brittany Brave. I'm a comedian, producer. I am a founder of Catcall. It is a women's organization that I started in 2017. We do all-female content and all-female-centric events. In terms of my relationship with comedy, I as well come from a very, very funny family, a roast culture family. We're Italian, we're Catholic, we're guilty. We're loud, it's all of that. We burn calories while we have a conversation. So I was always surrounded by very, very funny people. Humor was a language between me and my family. It was the way that we coped with trauma. Me personally, I was always an improv and sketch, and then I started stand-up comedy 3 years ago after a very abusive relationship. I am a survivor of sexual and intimate partner violence. And through stand-up, I really feel like I was able to reclaim my narrative, find a greater purpose, and really find how I can help women all around the world.
Thank you for that. Gus. Yes, I love that.
I'm Gus. I do TikTok, Instagram content. I also write for Kids TV, which is a super cute job. So I get to bring humor to kids too, which is awesome. And I discovered comedy through watching specials with my dad, who's from Greece. He came here in 1984. He has a very thick Greek accent, but he loves like the raunchiest, craziest type of comedy. So we'd watch like George Carlin. We watched Lisa Lampanelli a lot. And it was a great way to learn about intent through humor. And like, just, I don't know, it was just an amazing experience to do with my dad. And that's why I got into comedy.
That's so great. Jill.
Hi, I'm Jill Kirkman. I'm a writer / actress, and I had a show called Odd Mom Out that's, thank you. It's on Peacock. All the 3 seasons are on Peacock now. And I think, Gus, our dads would have gotten along very well. My dad was also very raunchy. He was a stand-up comedian while he was at Columbia Business School and went all through, like, Atlantic City and Nevada and all this stuff doing open mic things and then eventually paid gigs, but it wasn't really enough to, he just dropped it and went into business. And I think his humor served him well in his business career, but I kind of always watched him electrify his clients and all of us. So I definitely got it from him.
That's great. And where do you get your best material from?
I think just having my eyes open and observing. I'm not a sociologist or anything, but I just have always been an observer, and I always would mimic people to my parents and do kind of routines in the living room in my pajamas with my brother, kind of that SNL sketch type of thing, but I don't know, we were always hams.
Yeah. So when we think about platforms, we're talking about how many new comedians were able to excel in their career because of the platforms today. What is your observation of that?
I think whatever you can conjure up, you can create in real time. Literally, you could go home after this and think of something, film it, and then decide if you want to post it. But even for mine, it was just an idea. I was living it. And I was like, the things that guys say and do, like, it's not out there in the way that I see it. So I'm going to just put it out there. And so I literally, for me, it was a little bit different. It's still on all the same platforms. But for me, it was like creating a logo and a name. It was like just the first step. And then the second I did that, I was like, okay, I'm really doing this. And now it's a thing. Now I need production. Who's going to do that? And then it just happens. Or in their cases, and sometimes when we do TikTok and other things, it's literally on the way out of here. So it's very accessible, and I think anyone at any stage of life can just jump in. So for me, that's the exciting part.
How about you?
I second all of that. And I'd add that, I think authenticity wins depending on what platform you decide to make your content for. I was really excited when I started on TikTok because I felt like for the first time I could just be silly and I could be goofy. And, Instagram, everyone wants to be hot. And I don't want to be hot all the time, like I'm a clown. I just wanted to be funny and do my weird things. And I feel like having the platform gave me the opportunity to do that, like judgment free. Like no one I knew was on there yet. Like I'm the first one of my friends to get on TikTok. So I think like platforms are so important, and how you view them and how you see that culture and how you react to it. And if it is something that like really sparks a chord within you, then you should just create and put it out there, because there's really like nothing to lose. Like at the worst, you get like 2 views. You know what I mean? It's okay.
And was there a moment where, or when was the moment where you really feel you hit it? You like woke up one morning and you're like, wow.
You know, I can't even think of like my very first like I hit it moment, because I was so busy laughing at my own TikToks. Like I thought I hit every TikTok. Like if it got 2 views, I was like, oh, they missing out on this one. Like I'm dying over here. So I feel like I hit them all the time.
I love that self-love. That's amazing. But yeah, to speak to platforms, I feel like once you figure out that what your message is and what your story is, and as an artist and a content creator, you feel compelled to share it with people, I think that that's the difference between artists and non-artists. It's a lot of parallel thinking, and we're all in this generic commonality of the human experience. The difference between artists and non-artists is artists are compelled to share it and have the courage to share it and have the inspiration and the creativity behind it. So once you figure out what it is that your message is, it's just about finding the right medium for it. And now we have everything from stand-up to TikTok to podcasts to live events to guerrilla marketing stunts, you name it, whatever it is. And a lot of that is trial and error too, as an artist and a comedian, just figuring out exactly what it is you want to say and what's the best way to present it and what's the audience on the other side of that platform too.
So when you think about all of the various platforms, do you think about one piece of content that you're going to do in lots of different ways, or do you actually think about them very differently, like podcasts very differently? Or
I usually think, first it comes with the message and what it is that I want to share, and then I usually think, I think if you're using these platforms pretty regularly and you're familiar with them and you're not only creating yourself, but you're consuming other people's content, kind of intuitively you're going to find what platform it works on. But yeah, at least between like improv, sketch, and stand-up, it's really fascinating to see what people can do with one comedic premise or a joke and how they can repurpose it based on that avenue, and also how it's received. For my experience, I always feel like stand-up is the most personal, the most authentic, and is trying to find all of those autobiographical narratives and figure out how the world can see themselves in that too.
how about you, Gus?
I think that the best thing about TikTok is that anybody can just get a camera, sit in their car, and just tell a story. And that's all you need to do. Like, I've seen creators that don't even get wigs. Like, I've seen a creator use a feather instead of a wig. But you just get it. You're like, okay, that's a wig. I'm accepting it as reality, and we're moving on. And then the worst thing about TikTok is that any person can do it. Because it feels so overwhelming as a creator, because you're like, oh my God, everyone is doing this. Everyone's telling these funny stories. What's my funny story? And once you can figure that out, you're good. But like, you don't have to be precious on TikTok. You just have to be you. And that's great. That's awesome. You can just be like whoever in the world. And like, there are people in prison that I follow on TikTok that I'm like, you're hilarious.
Oh my God, my ex?
Yes, your ex.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you got to tell us about it.
But
Tell
there's
us
just
about
so
it.
many random people that I follow on TikTok. I never would have found these people at all. And I'm sure that they feel the same way about like the things that we're creating too, that are like, oh, I relate to this. This is great. So I think as creators, we have to like remove the preciousness. But at the same time, like it feels overwhelming all the time because everyone is putting out all the content every second of every day.
Okay, you had me at prison. Please go back.
Okay, there's these people that like there's a prison group that does like dances. It's so fun. Like honestly, it's just fun. They do all these dances and they're just like a funny group of people. I very much enjoy them.
Okay, and how are they doing that in prison?
They have phones. I don't know. I really don't know. I didn't look. I tried to read a comment thread about it, and I was like, I can't get sucked into this. I'm just going to enjoy this. I don't care of the means that you got this to happen. I've seen Orange is the New Black. I know what you do. But
was it a green screen backdrop prison?
Yeah, right. But I don't know. There's so many, like, there's weird, like, I follow a bunch of, like, you know, people that just, like, clean their toilets but tell funny stories as voiceover of them cleaning their toilets. And I'm like, in what world should I be finding this entertaining, you know? But here I am.
That is incredible. Jill.
Well, I think it's safe to say I'm kind of the crypt keeper of this panel. So TikTok is not something that is organic to me. I don't do it. My kids put it on my phone to try to teach me how to do it. And then I learned that if you do use those software things to make your little movie and then try to put it on Instagram, the software will suppress it because it has a watermark that is TikTok, and you have to really be doing native posts that are carving its way out of you specific to each platform. But during COVID, I was just really fucking bored. So I started goofing around with my kids and coming up with different characters, and I started making 1-minute videos, sometimes a little more, on my Instagram from like, you know, a woman in Slovenia who is Melania Trump's best friend wondering how she is doing. And I did like little videos, and then, you know, Danielle, who's really depressed because she couldn't do Soul Cycle in this pandemic, and she was ready to strangle her husband Jared. And, you know, I just like would slap him up, and then I did it. It's exactly what Jasmine was saying. I didn't give a shit if people, I just was doing it for me. It was like literally clawing its way out of me for sanity purposes. And then people were like, please keep going because I'm about to eat a gun in my 4 walls, you know? So I just kept like shitting them out every day.
Okay, how many more characters do you have?
I have Susan, who's a trainer who bullies the shit out of you and tells you what a little piece of shit cockroach you are. I have this a French woman where nothing bothers her. She can drink 4 or 5 absinthe, and she slept with this guy. She meanwhile went to a performance art at Sleep No More, but was fucking this guy inside of the closet. Mais c'était ma faute parce que I drank too much. But I was just like dicking around because I thought it was like gonna fill the void of 10 hours a day or whatever. I mean, I was so, by the end of it, we were just, and I was in New York City the whole time, so we had the wooden spoons and the frying pans to cheer the healthcare workers. I mean, we had wonderful experiences and memories, but I thought I was gonna go shithouse like nuts without a creative outlet, and I didn't have one because everything had ground to a halt. So social media kind of saved me, and you know, as somebody putting shit out, and then as a voyeur and, you know, watching somebody scrub their toilet with a voiceover.
Incredible. So I'm curious if it feels now with these new platforms, does it ever feel overcrowded? Or you just feel like everyone finds their niche in terms of what they're looking for?
I can take that one. For me, sometimes it does feel overcrowded. There are some times where, you know, I'll be scrolling through and it'll be great and I'm liking everything. I'm like, oh my God, the algo is on it today. And then there are other days and I'm like, oh, who do they think I am today? Like, what happened here? And I think that's a function of so many people being on these platforms and creating. But despite being overcrowded, I feel like that's a beautiful, wonderful thing that it is overcrowded, you know? Like the more people you have creating, that's the more people you have expressing themselves. And it can be difficult, especially for myself as a creator. It's like, oh, well, now I know there's just more competition, like in the video sphere of how many people are like putting their ideas out there. But I welcome that. And, you know, it feels all the more rewarding when you make a video and you know it's super overcrowded and your video pops and you're like, I knew it was a good one. You know what I mean? So it's overcrowded, but I'm not necessarily mad at it.
Yeah, I think as an artist, it kind of challenges me to push my originality even further and my creativity even further. And on the flip side of it, it is like, oh wow, look at parallel thinking. Like we're all latching onto this trend, finding a way to make it unique to ourselves, or we've all been through this common experience. But when I do see things like that, it can be overwhelming to see how overcrowded it is. But then it's like, okay, well, how do I make this unique to me? How do I put my own spin on it? And then the beautiful thing of being an artist in this day and age is like years ago, there was only one way really, you know, to get your message out or to build a fan base or to build a legacy and a platform. And now there's double and triple the ways. So in a way, it's like, how do you join the conversation, but make sure that you're joining the conversation as Brittany? and what can Brittany do and jump onto this trend and what can she add to this conversation.
So I want to build on that idea of joining the conversation, because you do see oftentimes, or many times, most times, comedians cheering each other on or building or riffing off of each other. And so how have you experienced it and how have you participated in it?
Most of my close friends are all comedians. So it's always great. And it's, when you surround yourself with other creators that you respect and you admire. Gus and I are good friends. One of them is right here. Hello.
Because we're both so short.
Yeah. Greek, Italian. That's all. Yeah, that's all. We're cousins, basically. So it is great. And that's one of the greatest joys that I have in my personal friend group, that my coworkers are people that I not only enjoy as human beings, but I enjoy as creators. And I respect their opinion because I see what they do online and on the stage. So a lot of that riffing, it's our hangs are think tanks, okay? They're open mics. But at the same time, too, it's challenging each other and also checking each other on the messaging. I think this was something that was touched on the panel beforehand, too, that you run a lot of your material or your ideas or your content by your peers and your colleagues because you want to make sure that it's not tone deaf or that it's funny and it's funny in the right way and it's timely in the right way, too. So, yeah, I think once you realize that all of this is more collaborative than what you think. It doesn't have to be this sad solo journey. I think the internet is a nice reminder of that. Yeah. That commonality, that community.
Great. Anyone else?
I definitely feel like success is not finite. It's not like a finite resource that just goes away after a while. Like, everyone can have it. That's so nice to know at the end of the day, that like you can find your niche or you can not, or you can just be like wildly successful and like another person can be wildly successful. So as comedians and creators, we should just be cheering each other on, unless someone is just doing crap like that is offensive to people, then no, but like we should be cheering each other on as much as humanly possible, because one person's success doesn't mean you're not success. It also can mean your success, but not right now. And that's okay too. And so while TikTok and social media platforms may be overcrowded, I think that they don't feel overcrowded in terms, like it won't be overcrowded in terms of like you can get in there too and you can have just as much success as everybody else, and that's good.
I think on top of that too, there's room for everyone. So, one comedian might have a certain style. You're talking about the same topic, but then someone else might have another angle on it. And I find sometimes for me in talking to another comedian, like going back and forth and you're building on, it's even more entertaining and you're thinking of new ideas. And so I think of it as less competition. And also there's all these like subgroups that I had no idea. Some are creepy, some are interesting, but there's something for everyone, and those people are everywhere watching on every platform. So I think, again, there's room for everyone.
Also, seeing people win is incredible. And like there's so much joy in seeing people that you respect and love win, and it's instead of putting aside competition and jealousy to see like, oh my God, there is potential to win, there is potential to break through. Look, if it could happen for this person, it could happen for me and everybody else.
That's great. So, Jasmine, you started off by telling the story about how you were furloughed, and so now that people are going back to work in many ways, this is now, you've made a commitment that this is your thing now. What was that process for you?
Yeah. Wow. It was a really messy process. So I was furloughed from work, and when I was furloughed, it was like really weird. I was super happy, like, oh my God, I don't have to work. This is the best day of my life. Because I am a creative, and the thing was that now, though, I did not have the opportunity to create. So before quarantine, before the pandemic, I was a hip hop dancer. So I'd work my 8 hours. I'd stay in my office, apply to some new jobs, creative jobs, trying to quit my 9 to 5. And then I'd go take my dance classes. I'd go back home. Like, my days were so long. I would get in at like midnight. And so, like, suddenly everything came to a halt. And, I would do my best to create and dance. And I started with dance videos on TikTok, made a bunch of dance videos. And then I really just started to, like, be more funny. I started making more funny videos. And it was like the outlet that I used to get out all of my, like, conflicting feelings and frustrations, because it was so hard to be, like, I'm a really big extrovert, and so suddenly being like completely by myself at home, it was really killing me inside. And so social media totally saved me. And I was able to like take those stressful moments and I was able to make them into funny moments, and I was able to share them with other people who were going through the same exact thing because everyone was dealing with the same quarantine. So yeah, it was really difficult, but it was something that I was able to like catapult into my creativity and help me make new videos. And then once I got called back to work and I got off of furlough, it killed me inside and I died for a couple months. But then I started making funny videos about that even. Like, oh my God, I'm back. And then it was like, it just never stopped. I said, I've completely committed to this and it's something I'm going to continue doing because that's what really makes me happy. So yeah, that's my goal, to like one day quit my job and like completely go into, comedy, content creation, writing, producing, things like that.
Good for you. Good for you. So Gus, you said that you're also doing stuff for children's writing. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I write for a show called Gabby's Dollhouse, which is on Netflix, and I've written for Abby Hatcher and Rainbow Rangers and a show called The Lion Guard, which was on Disney. And I also got to write a Rugrats episode for the reboot, which is the coolest thing I can tell you. That was like a dream come true. The first day I sat down and wrote Angelica, I lost my whole mind. I just want to let everybody know. That was like, I grew up with that, so it was very full circle. And it is great. It is because people are always like, the question I get is it different writing for kids than it is to write for adults? And the answer is no, because you're just writing jokes, and kids respond to jokes if they're good, and they don't respond to bad jokes. You know what I mean? The only thing I have to do is like be a little bit more keen on the educational aspect, and that's why there's educational teams that work on these shows that help us through that process. And so, but otherwise, it's just, how can I make this fun for kids, either visually or through jokes, whatever. And so it's a really fun job. It is a really, really fun job, and it's really cool. And it's, I don't know, watch Rugrats reboot.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what's going to happen to
It's
Angelica. Yes. No.
Oh, let me tell you, the thing is with kids TV also is like, it is really interesting because you learn how to like, I've relearned a lot of things. Like Gabby's Dollhouse is a growth mindset show, and it's all about like fail, try, succeed, right? So now I'm sitting here as an adult like, this is all I need to do? Why didn't anybody tell me this? This is crazy. Instead of getting stressed out, you just keep trying. And that was, it's been an awesome experience.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So Jill, we often talk about comedy and its portrayal of where society is today. And I think, you as an actress and the shows that you've been, have chosen to sort of help us along, having those conversations about society. So I'd love for you to just talk about your thinking about that and the role of comedy in being a reflection of society.
Yeah, I feel like you're always holding up, any art is holding up a mirror to society, but I feel like there is an immediacy with comedy because it has to be of the moment, and that's where social media has come in, is that all of you guys are creating things that are immediate reflections, whereas the development process in TV and film takes a year and a half. So you don't have that immediacy where the observations are like right on the moment, and I think that actually hones comedy to be better and sharper. You can't film something that you wrote a year ago now. You can just like put it right up there. So I think the observations are just quicker and mile a minute, and it forces everybody to become faster, better.
So that's interesting, the idea of faster, because you wonder, like with faster, we're also, earlier we're talking about culture. When you go into Italian culture or you go into the Latin culture or whatever, like how do you bring people into the culture to which you're talking about?
Okay, so for me, whenever I want to make a culture video, my goal is to do my best to make it feel like you're there in the room with me. So I have like this one video that I can't wait to repost because Thanksgiving is coming up. And it's like when your Puerto Rican mom just busts in the door when you're sleeping to be like, get up, clean this room. We got people coming over, fix your shit. And you're like, no one's even coming in my room. Like the kitchen's over there, the party's over there. And in making that video, I wanted to feel like you were right there. I like set the camera up in a way that it's like, oh, you're inside the room already before I walk in. And, I'm laying in the bed and you see me like, what are you talking about? So I think important to portray it the way it would happen in real life. Whether it's like, it doesn't matter if you got to put your phone in a new weird place, if you got to, cut the video outside the app and then pull it back in. Like, as long as you can just portray it the way you would actually envision it and have experienced it, I think it'll win.
Great.
Yeah, authenticity, 100%. Yeah, anytime I make a video about growing up Italian Catholic, it's always a direct mirror of something that I went through in my childhood, or an aunt, or I have a character called Aunt Cena. And I made videos all throughout quarantine about how she was responding to all of this crazy stuff, and people just got to wear the mask. She doesn't want to smell your disgusting breath, And my mom is like, "Is that character about me?" And I don't have the heart to tell her that it is. And but it goes back to everything. I mean, I think it's the same with stand-up and with TikTok and with social media. It's I think as a comedian and a content creator, if you experienced it and if it's true to you, then you have 100% agency to speak to it, to write a joke about it, or to make a video about it. So yeah, to that point, it's just getting to the heart of what it is and finding like, okay, what is it that I went through and I experienced or saw my family go through, and how can I just now make this palatable and relatable to the masses, be it on stage or on the internet. Yeah.
If I could add something to that really quickly, the way you say like you have your character that is like based off of someone in real life. I totally agree with that. So, like, I have this character on my Instagram and TikTok. His name is Dr. G. So, Dr. G, he's the gangster therapist. And this character is so, like, deeply rooted in, like, me growing up. And, like, my brother always told me I was soft. He was like, "My man, you soft." Like, all the time, just because he may have always had it worse or whatever the situation. And it was something that, like, I made into, like, this really funny thing. Even though in those moments in real life, it may not have been funny. Maybe we were having a fight about something, and he was like, "You're soft. I had it worse in life." And I'm like, I'm gonna make a funny character about it. I could keep that authenticity of like him telling me I'm soft, and like spin it and make humor out of the hardship in it all, and make it into something really funny. And now I have like a bunch of episodes, and he sits down with different characters on his couch who bring him their petty little problems, and he invalidates them and laughs at them and tells them they're soft, and they always thank him in the end. They're like, "Thank you, like that's all I needed. I just have to toughen up, like I'm the problem." You know what I mean? There's no real problem here, and he gives some story about how he always had it worse. And yeah, it's like it's just such a funny way to like take culture that may even be negative and turn it into a positive experience.
Even just with that too, sometimes there's that underlying message that you don't literally have to say, but it comes through in that, like that, what your backgrounds are, or even like within dating culture, we refer to women that are holding out as like selectively unattached. So we make it funny, but underneath it all, we're not saying like you're empowered and be strong. It's just we're making fun. We're like reverse objectifying, which underneath it all is hopefully empowering through making fun of the process or the people that you encounter.
So one quick thing that you just said about like making fun of things, like I've always felt like with comedy, whenever comedians, get some flack about like, well, you shouldn't make a joke about that, you shouldn't poke fun at that, you shouldn't make fun at that. I actually think it's the complete opposite. It's quite the contrary. Like if it's something that I feel compelled to write a joke about or make content about, I assure you, I'm not devaluing it at all. I'm not making fun of it. I'm not deflating it. In fact, I'm bringing humor to it, which if you're a stand-up comedian, nothing is sadder than stand-up. Nothing is more depressing than humor. I am not in the business of being funny, unfortunately, actually. But yeah, to that point, like anything that inspires me or strikes a nerve in me to create, I'm not poking fun at it. I'm not bringing levity to it just because it's tough and uncomfortable. In fact, it's because of the fact that it's tough, uncomfortable, taboo. It was painful that I feel the need to talk about it, and the vessel through which I'm talking about it is just humor. You can cry about it. It's always going to be the truth. You just have the agency to figure out how you want to own it. It's always going to be there. You're either going to ignore it or you're going to own it and make something with it. So
it's therapeutic.
Yeah, big time.
I do a lot of videos about Greek culture, and I do my Greek mom character, which is super fun. And the thing I get a lot about it is that it feels so real. And I read an interview once where it was like, impressions shouldn't just be characters, impressions should be people. Once you embody a person, it feels authentic to somebody watching it because you're literally just becoming that person. Whenever it's like you haven't really fully fleshed out that person in your brain, it doesn't work.
No, it is great. I mean, I have to say, I've really enjoyed meeting all your characters. They were great.
Between us, yeah, there's so many characters here.
There was so many characters. My mouth hurts from smiling so much and meeting all these characters. Is there any character that any of you are working on right now?
So I'm actually writing a show. So I'm working on a ton of characters. But like I'm working on this Dr. G character, and I'm currently thinking about like, well, how can I elevate him? And so I want to like invite other creators to come and like sit on Dr. G's couch and like let him tell them their soft with whatever whatever idea we bring up. And I'm also working on, I have this Karen character, and I want to like, I want to have Karen like be a Karen, but like, maybe she's nice sometimes, so I make her like this nice Southern belle, and I don't even have a good Southern accent, but that just makes it all funny. And like, she's trying, so like, it's me talking to Karen. I'm always trying to help her out with something. I'm like, yeah, Karen, like I went to Puerto Rico, and she's like, you went to Mexico? And I'm like, no, I went to Puerto Rico. Like, you could say it right. She was like, Mexico. And like, she's trying so hard to say Puerto Rico, and she just can't say it. And I'm trying to, just keep her funny and like a funny, offensive, in the middle way to laugh at it.
Minda, are you working on any?
So we have men as the characters. So my role in a lot of the content is I'm like a spy on behalf of the women. So I'm like the guy's girl in the moment, but then I'm reporting back to the girls on like everything that's being said and like how we should handle it. So I'm personally the spy character.
So what are you spying now that we're coming out of the pandemic? Like, things are really ramping up.
It's beyond.
Good stuff.
This is a very long mission with many layers, but one of the things we do is called text translations. So we have girls submit text anonymously that they get. Thank you for that. And we have all these different types of guys translate them, and all the advice is completely inconsistent. So the like player type will be like, oh, this guy sounds amazing. And then the nice guy will be like, run, he's not being vulnerable. And then the hipster DJ will be like, go for it, like go out tonight, see how it goes, So like there's many different layers. So during COVID, now people are rampantly dating. So people are either just like making up for lost time, or they are like trying to figure out like who wants something serious, and if they don't, then they can escape. So there's a lot of investigation to be had. So I'm on it, everyone. I'll let you know how it goes.
That's amazing.
Doing the Lord's work.
Brittany, how about you? Any character you're working on?
I'm always trying to continue fleshing out Antina, mostly to annoy my mom. I also, I used to, I actually have not published any of these videos, but during quarantine, of course, because I was bored out of my mind, I taped my nose all the way back, and I came up with this girl named Peggy, and she's captain of the cheerleading squad, and she thinks that none of the boys want to take her to prom because she's just too beautiful, and like, so just trying to do that, like, small town hero. I just have like so many videos on my phone of me workshopping Peggy. Like, if somebody broke into my phone, they'd be like, get her a therapist. Truly. But no, that's it. Just both. I've been focusing a little bit more on like stand up and stuff like that.
Fun,
But also,
fun.
if you need a private investigator, I'm here as well. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Gus, how about you?
I'm kind of working on this character. My brother is such a character. Like, he's this car mechanic, and he's from Brooklyn. We all grew up in Brooklyn. He has a very thick Brooklyn accent, and he barks when he talks, but he loves reality TV. And so, like he did a French tuck once. He's like, I learned it in Queer Eye, bro. Like, it's so strange, and he like loves 90 Day Fiancé. So I just like this like straight car mechanic from Brooklyn talking about 90 Day Fiancé is very appealing to me.
Oh yeah, sometimes I put that beard filter on Instagram and I imitate every guy I've ever gone on a date with from Hinge. Where he's just like, I'm just the alpha in my friend group, His name is Chad.
And he is indeed beta.
Yes, oh, absolutely, yeah. He's like, it's boys' night, I gotta go out because it's boys' night, like.
So much fun. Jill.
Well, actually, this kind of relates to Brittany and Jasmine because Southerners are like fish in a barrel. But my daughter, Ivy, I have 3 teenagers, and they also love doing shticks. But the way that I don't, because I don't go on TikTok, they'll be watching TikTok next to me. And there was a trend that I'm sure you guys saw in the New York Times in September about apostrophe Bama Rush. And it's the Alabama, all the girls rushing whatever, the sorority. And you have to post hashtag OOTD, outfit of the day. So there were thousands of videos of these future Karens basically being like, I got my earrings at the Reckless Ladybug. It's a boutique in Tuscaloosa. I got my skirt from, and they have to like say where the provenance of their like shitty skirt. And it's just on and on and on. So of course we kept imitating them and doing like future Karens. And it was just like a parade of probably Trumpers. But yeah, I was definitely, it's easy.
Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you for introducing yourselves and all of your characters and talking with us about the many platforms and the things that you're doing. And we're here to cheer you on. Thank you for joining us here at Caroline.
Thank you.